Good morning, Rovers. It is a little bit chilly outside. It's only about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and I would think that it's not any warmer inside this building than it is outside. But with me this morning, I have Brian Macisaac. Now, Brian's a good friend of mine, and he's also a fellow carpenter, and he's going to help me put the OSB up on the ceiling, which is a job I really didn't plan on doing until after the house was completed. The reason for that was because the price of material, the Orientated Strand Board, which was in springtime somewhere around $17 a sheet, has now jumped up to $35 a sheet. I thought the price might go down this winter, but it hasn't. In fact, it's gone up a little bit. So we're just biting the bullet. We spent the extra money to get the sheets remaining. And the reason is to prevent dust from going from this side where I'll be doing some projects this winter, from going up into the trusses and over onto the area where we'll be storing all of our household goods. Because really, this building is a general purpose building for the next year or so, because we'll be living in it, we'll be storing all of our household goods, and we'll also be trying to use this to facilitate the build of the house. By hopefully the fall of this year, we'll be moving into the house, and then this can become my workshop proper at that point. But for right now, we've got to get this ceiling on. What do you say, Brian? Let's get going, huh? Yeah. Okay, in preparation for putting the ceiling up, I've had to remove the upper rails from the garage door, and at some point we'll have to de-energize these lights and move them as we fill in this area above our heads. And we'll be using Oriented Strand Board. As you can see here, there are 13 sheets. That should be just enough to get us to the end. Now, we'll be using an air nailer, and this is the hose for the air nailer, and it goes to this little tent area right here. And the reason for that is because the air temperature is that chilly that the compressor doesn't like it. So I've tented the compressor up underneath this, this tarp here. And I have a little electric heater just to keep things going. I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, for heaven's sake. This is where Brian has been hiding the whole time. All right. I think you're warm enough now, Brian. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get to it.
I'll give you 2 more minutes. Okay. All right. And we also brought the scaffold in. The scaffold will be very handy to stand on, and we'll be able to reach the ceiling. Okay, so one of the first things you want to do before you operate an air tool, unless it's a Teflon coated one, is to put a couple of drops of light oil into the tool first. And then all set to go. Okay, so now we have to cut this sheet in half, so we need 2 4-foot pieces. So I've marked it. I'm just using a straight edge right now, give myself a nice straight line. Now, take your skill saw. You only need to set it to about 3/4 of an inch. Don't need to go too deep here. Okay, set. After it's set, then plug it in. Put your hearing protection on. Everybody, I'm making a saw cut. Let's frame an opening for the attic hatch.
By using your speed square as a guide, you can make perfect cuts with your skill saw.
So what we're doing right now is we're putting in a little bit of framing so that we have an attic hatch so we can access the space after all the ceiling sheathing has gone up. Just a couple more screws over here. And we're looking pretty good. Great. So now we can get back on with getting the sheathing up. We're going to have to move a lot of this material from this side of the shop to that side.
This is what happened behind the scenes Friday afternoon before Brian came over.
It is very, very icy along here. This whole field is just ice.
I've made this half-inch hole through the roof for an eye bolt, which will act as an anchor point to help support the electrical service mast. I'm bedding this eye bolt with butyl tape, and that should make it nice and waterproof. I've also heated up the butyl tape inside the toe hold because of these cold temperatures that we're installing in.
Okay, we are on and go for it.
Inside the shop, Mrs. Rover has a wrench and is tightening the nut on this eye bolt.
Okay, good. Very good. So this next sheet is going up here. It's going to be 8 feet long, but there's a special little section here. So if you remember from earlier, that bolt right there, that's the eye bolt that's going through the ceiling or through the roof. And I just want to have like a little hatch that'll be supported with this framing here where I can check on that just in case there's a leak or there's extra stress on it, I'll be able to change it. So we're going to mark that onto our sheet of OSB. So here we have it marked. It's a little bit hard to see the pencil line, but it goes like this and over here. And I'm just going to cut that out now with the skill saw.
Well, we're on final approach here. This is the last sheet I need to cut, and it's the last sheet to go up.
Looks like it comes to me from the top. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Great. Okay, so that is the job done, complete with, we put a nice little attic hatch opening here. Reinstalled the lights. I've made another opening over here so I can inspect the eye bolt that's going through the roof. And all I have left is just this little strip along here. And I'll get that done. I don't need Brian's help to do that. And I still have one sheet plus a little bit of scrap. So I think that's all we really need to worry about right now. This is what the shop looks like. When I get it a little more organized, this section down here, in fact, this half will be my half that I work in. And this half over here, this is where we're planning to store all of our household goods for the next year or so until we can get the house built. So this is going to be, or the way I envision it is, our furniture and belongings are just going to fill this entire space right from the floor to the ceiling, packed right out, pretty much that light switch, and pretty much over to half here. And at which point I'll then run a tarp that will divide this bit of the shop in half so that I don't have to worry about dust from this half migrating to this side. Anyway, that's the plan right now. Well, that was quite an eventful morning. The work probably only took about 2 hours, but in fact, it took us a little bit longer, but that's only because we had to set up the camera and move it around a bit. And I just want to thank Brian for coming out this Saturday morning on his day off to give me a hand here at Rover's Rest. And just a little teaser, sometime in the very near future, Brian Macisaac is going to have a big announcement to make on YouTube. And trust me, this is going to be really, really interesting. Anyway, until next week, thanks for watching.